clarifications or anything that is needed. So what I will do is I will give an overview about what our plans are. Okay, yeah. I'll give an overview about what our plans are and what is it that we are going to discuss during this training, and why we are taking this training, what is the agenda of this training, why this is important, and how you should learn, and what are the tools, technologies that you are going to learn, and our course plan, duration, schedule, right? All these things we will talk about. So talking about the schedule, this is going to be a 3 months program, total 13 weeks of training. That's what we are going to do. I think you can maximize the screen. Check if there's an option to, yeah. You see that, right? Okay, great. All right. So over here, so we will start with the schedule. What is the kind of schedule that we are going to follow, and what is the duration? So it's going to be total 13 weeks of training, daily training, only on weekdays, Monday to Friday, morning 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and that is that will continue for next 13 weeks, starting from tomorrow. And tomorrow it's not 7:30 a.m. that we will be starting at. We will start at 7 a.m. only for the first 1.5 week. It's going to be 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and after that it will change to 7:30 a.m. to 9, because first 1.5 weeks is going to be a bit critical for all of you, because all of you have some experience, but most of you are not. I think none of you are from DevOps background. If I am wrong, correct me. So there are certain things that you need to know before we start any of our advanced program. You need to have some basics about software, web applications, containers, and some Kubernetes basics that you need to know before taking this course. So first 1.5 weeks is all about learning few things that you need to know before we start our training. And our training is more likely like a problem versus solution kind of training. It's not just learning the tools. That's not what we do. We split our entire program into 4 different courses, and for every courses we would be solving a problem, right? And then we would be providing a best solution that is currently available on the market to solving that problem. The reason why we are doing this is that that's what companies do, right? That's what companies do at their work. They don't hire you because you know some tools and you learn a lot part of the tools, because tools solve a lot of problem, but which problem that you are trying to solve is what most important part is. So our entire program would be more like a problem versus solution kind of training, and each training would consist of more than one tool. We would be combining more than one tool in one single course to solve a specific problem, and that is the kind of learning strategy that we will follow throughout the training. That's how it's going to be, right? And that's how it should be, because that's what the people are looking for. Whether you enhance your current skills, or whether you want to look out for a new job, you should be always learning the problem and the solutions using different tools. So we mainly cover 4 different topics here in this training. Containers in Google Cloud, that is our first course. So initially, starting from tomorrow, we talk about some very basics that you need to know before you could take any of these courses. After we completed the basics, we start with our advanced program. Our advanced programs are split into 4 different problems and solutions kind of topics. So the first one, we are going to talk about the Google Cloud. How you can orchestrate your containers in the Google Cloud, and what are the different services that Google Cloud offer. And we will be taking a project. Literally, we will be taking a project that is in GitHub. You will also get access to that project. You will also have the same lab environment what I have. I mean, you will set it up yourself, right? I will give you the instructions on how to set that up during the sessions. And then basically this training is all about how you will run your containerized applications in the Google Cloud, and what are the different services that are available, and how you will combine all these services to build a proper cloud native development cycle for your company. You are not developing. Your responsibility is to set up things for doing the development and software delivery, right? That's what you do as a DevOps engineer, not coding. You will do coding, but not project coding or software coding. You will be doing some much simpler coding, but otherwise it's no, this is all about how you can run the container applications in the cloud. And I will talk about it now. Right now probably you don't even know too much about the containers or what is a container. That we will discuss after some time. I'm just giving a brief overview. Then after we completed the Google Cloud, we will talk about the same thing on AWS and Azure. Different companies uses different cloud providers, and most of the company nowadays they use more than one cloud provider. They have their infrastructure in Google Cloud, and they have their infrastructure also in AWS, because AWS is good at something, Google Cloud is good at something. So most of the people are not very afraid today to combine more than one tools, right? More than one tool to build, solve, whatever problem that they are trying to solve. And it's not very uncommon today that many companies uses more than one cloud provider. So we will learn AWS and Azure. AWS we will learn in much in depth. Azure it won't be much in depth training, but we will be covering most of the services, the application infrastructure, everything we will replicate on Azure also. Whatever we did on AWS, same thing we will do on Azure also. And then GitOps and infrastructure as code. This is again a new culture of how you should be working with the latest technologies and tools, right? So you should be, the idea is that you should be working on Git. You should be, whatever you want to do, whatever work a DevOps engineer or SRE do, they will work on the code. They want to provision a new server in the cloud, they will write a code. They want to install a new version of their software, they will write a code. So basically the idea is that, and when I say code, don't worry, it's not, you don't need any programming skills to write these code. These are plain YAML files or JSON kind of formatted files. That is very easy to write. I mean, you don't need to know coding to write these files, but generally it's called code, so that's why I use the term. So the idea here is that a DevOps or an SRE should be always writing the code when they want to do something, and then rest of the things should be automated, right? Some different machines, systems that sit inside your company read the code and do what is necessary. So that's the idea of GitOps, and we are going to learn GitOps in detail. And then we talk about Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is mostly we are covering the CI/CD part, right? A complete end-to-end project lifecycle using Azure DevOps. How the developer work, and then whatever work your developer do, how this work would be sent to your different teams, and how the project will be built, tested, deployed into various environment that your company have. Many other things that a code need to undergo. So I just wanted to give a brief overview. I know that many of you are not much familiar with all these technical words whatever I am using, so don't worry too much at this point of time. It's don't worry right now. So this is a brief topic overview, and for every training it will be 2 weeks of training and 1 week of project. So during the 2 weeks of training, I would be taking some sample project from the GitHub, and I would be demonstrating the project to you, and you will also set up the same lab environment and use the same project what I use, right? And you will learn along with me, and it's going to be a 2 weeks of training for every courses. The training will be 2 weeks, and after the 2 weeks training there would be a 1 week project. So you will be doing it yourself. So there would be 25 to 30 people, and you will split into 3-4 teams, and you would be working as teams to build a solution for a complicated problem that I am going to give it to you. And this problem is actually a real problem that the companies are trying to solve, right? Managing the Google Cloud, or it could be CI/CD related, it could be developer related, it could be different problems that a company is going through. And our main intention as Coit is that we want we want to make sure that the companies and individuals started solving the problem using containers. There are many problems that DevOps engineers solve. There are lots of problem. You right, those people who are working as a Linux admin or developer, you might already know the kind of complexity that you are going through. But there are better ways to solve the problem, and the industry is to adapt them. So our intention is basically to make sure that give the awareness and provide proper technical knowledge to the people and the companies to adapt the container practices. Container is the way to the future, right? Most of the companies started adapting containers, but many of them are very slow in doing that because of the complex learning curve, and that is what we try to simplify, right? We try to simplify that problem. So all our courses are going to be based on containers, mostly based on containers. Whatever problem that we try to solve, we would be using containers and follow the container best practices to solve them, and that's why we exist, right? And actually, yeah, there is one another surprise also. And yeah, for every training, like I said, it's 2 weeks of training and 1 week project. This is the pattern. Every training will take 3 weeks. So we have total 4 courses, 4 by 3. It's 12, total 12 weeks for completing the advanced training. The prerequisites will take about 1.5 weeks. So it's about 13.5 weeks that we are going to take to complete this program. And yeah, once you completed the program, and especially finish the project, I always, the first thing what I want to insist is that finish the project. All the project what you do, they are very, very important. We will be following proper agile practices to do the project, and these projects would help you a lot. I mean, maybe you won't be working everything all by yourself, but if you could do it, do it. I mean, that's very important. But even if you are not working all by yourself, it is still okay. You work with the team and try to understand what others are doing. Involve in the daily stand-up meetings. Try to understand what others are doing. Do your part, and by within 5 days you make sure that the project is delivered. So you will get an idea, not just technically, but also how people are working inside the company, how the DevOps projects are fulfilled. That is important, and especially when you look out for a job change. And all these projects are they all follow the world class best container practices. Most of the company are not doing it right now. They want to. All the companies want to, right? You might already know the container are getting so much popular, and the companies are adapting it, and they want their applications to be running inside the containers. In about 2025, 85% of the companies will start running containers in production. That is the prediction. And every companies want to do this, right? But they are not able to do, and our intention is to show the path, right? So our projects are going to be much advanced, and they will follow the best container practices, right? So that's why project is important, and everyone who actively contribute to the project, finding job is not at all a problem. It's very, very easy, right? It's maybe I will take that during the Q&A about this statement. And then like I said, every training is 2 weeks length, and then 1 week project, total 3 weeks, and that's how it would be. And then I want to talk about Coit, probably something I really want to this is a new information. So me and Santosh, we started working together like I think some 6 years back, and we have been taking training on DevOps, right? For the last 6 years we have been taking training on DevOps. So and currently we are at a pace that we are unable to handle all the student request that is coming for live classes. So what we have decided to do is, and that's what we have been working on like last 8-9 months, we were completely focusing on building our courses as video courses, so that it would be available for a mass market. And also then for the live training, we enhanced everything to use the container practices. So we registered as a company, and registration happened last week. So you are the first batch who is officially joining. I mean, there is no much differences whether you join individually or whether you join as the company. There is no much difference, but yeah, now we are a company and you are the first batch who is officially enrolling under the company name, right? I just wanted to tell you. And the reason why we exist, and so far in our career we have partnered with many people. IT Online Hub is one of them, and we have few partners. They are also going to enroll some students, and we are also right, most of you are directly enrolled to us, but we are also partnering with other people. We already have many partners. In the last 6 years we built some relationships, and they will also be joining us to build the proper courses and stuff. And then our mission, we have a clear mission why we exist, right? The reason why we exist is that, you know, what we noticed in the last what we noticed is that the people are talking a lot about DevOps, but the companies and people are not managing it in the right way. I mean, there are many companies who is doing absolutely perfect, right, when it comes to DevOps and container management, but there's a slow pace, right? The companies are kind of slow in adapting the container solutions, and even the people, because there is a big learning curve, and there is no place where you will get all this information in one place. That's very difficult. So what our mission is that we will be building different container courses, more like a problem versus solution kind of thing. So we will take a problem like CI/CD, and we will show the people how this problem can be solved using containers. And it could be a local dev environment, or it could be a monitoring that you want to do. So we just use the best container practice to solve the problem, and that way we want to reach. And we also have courses that are self-paced. Okay, we are also building a community. So once you become a member, you will also get updates continuously. Every 2-3 weeks we would be conducting seminars, projects through our social media platform, which Santosh would send you in the chat soon. You can join. And again, we are currently building a community of all the students. What we are currently taking training, even the past students whom we completed training, we are building a community. You can all collaborate together, ask questions to each other, and work together to solve. Even after you completed the training, this is going to be 100% free, right? The community and membership, it's going to be 100% free, and you can all the seminars, workshops, whatever happens through the community, it's going to be 100% free even after the course for years to come, right? So go ahead and join our community also. And then we also have some self-paced courses that we conduct that we already have it on the website. So anyone in the world, especially you, it's actually for the students who enroll that we are doing this. Anyone can join this project. You can actually go to this website, www.coit.io, and in there you would find different courses. And especially this is for you, because we cover most important things during the live training, but some of you might need to learn something else. You might want to learn Jenkins because your project needs it, or you want to learn AWS in detail, or you want Terraform. So if there's a specific requirement that you have, we will make sure that the courses are available here at a price of like some 399 rupees. With that price you would be able to buy the courses. And then with a cheap price you would be able to buy the courses, and you would be able to enroll to them of whatever courses that you need to go through, right? You can take them, and it's completely self-paced, and it's cheap, and it's very advanced. All of them are problem versus solution kind of courses. Great. Now the next thing, and I can I will advise you If you have any requirement other than what we learn in the session, you just let me know and I can advise you on how that has to be done, right? So that's an overview. And today, the next part, I'll talk about different topics what we are going to cover, and um, what is the kind of problem that we are trying to solve, and what is the kind of solutions that we will be implementing. We won't be talking too much about solutions, but today we'll be talking mostly about the problems what the companies are facing and what we are trying to solve, right? So let's talk about that. Okay, so let me draw this. Okay, so let's think about a company. Forget about all our topic list and DevOps and all the stupid things. Just focus on think about a company who is managing a software. Think about Flipkart, or think about Amazon, a commerce company who want to run different softwares and serve the software to the people. So this is you. This is you are browsing for the flipkart.com website from your laptop. You are sitting anywhere, maybe in your home, in your office, or you would be sitting anywhere, and you open your browser on your computer and you browse flipkart.com, and you immediately see the website displayed, and you click some button, you log in with your email ID and password, you try to buy items, and you're doing a lot of things, right? And how your browser is able to do such kind of things. Not everything is handled by the browser, but there are different machines who run different softwares, and these machines are owned and managed by the Flipkart company. There are various machines who is running different softwares, and these machines communicate each other based on the requirement, maybe and most probably Flipkart is not developed as one single application. There may be a front-end application, or there may be a shopping cart application, and there may be a prime customer application. There can be different applications that the Flipkart company may have developed, and then different login access, and then payment options, like Google Pay payments, or like that. That's the thing. So there's a phone pay. So there are different softwares that the Flipkart company has developed, and all these softwares are running in different machines that Flipkart company own. And these machines could be in the cloud, or the machines could be on premises, right? It's up to the company to choose what kind of machine they want to run the softwares in. And most probably it could be cloud, and the software should be running inside different machines that is in the cloud. And then your browser, when I am going to browse for flipkart.com website, my browser would be talking to some software. Assume there is a web page, there's a software that provide the web page to people, and that is the software my browser will talk to first. And yes, when I say software, it is obviously running inside a machine, right? Softwares always run inside a machine, cloud server or otherwise. There should be a machine where software should be running. So my browser would be talking to that machine, and the software running on that machine, and ask for the web page, and that is the machine will respond with a web page, and that is when you see the flipkart.com website displayed on your browser. And you try to log in, you enter your email ID and password, you click on the login. Maybe your browser is going to talk to a different software called login access, right, which is running on a different machine. And then maybe the login access want to talk to a database. So assume there is a database, that is where Flipkart maintain all the database credentials, all the credentials of their customer. So this software might want to talk to the database and ask the database, hey, is this the credentials, is this valid or not? Then the database would provide an answer, yes, this is correct, the same data I have in the database. So in such case you get logged in. And then then at the same time it also want to talk to different other software. It might want to talk to the shopping cart to check if there is any items that is added to the shopping cart. Then it may want to talk to the prime customer to check if there is any discount available for this particular customer, whether he is a prime customer or not. So such informations can be provided by different software. So this software want to know some information, it want to talk to the other softwares. And how they will talk using some networking. So these machines are connected over network. So there should be a proper networking communication that need to happen between the machines, between the softwares, and they want to pass some data, send some data, and receive some data. So all these things need to happen. And when I talk about software, there are hundreds of software that a big company might have, right? I mean, the number of softwares can be huge, microservice or otherwise. Some companies focus on microservice development, which are small applications. In that case, it would consist of lots of applications. So for every company there would be more than one applications, and all these applications need to be maintained and managed. They should be run inside the machines, then they should be served to the customers, right? All these things need to happen inside a company, and this is very important. Okay. And then all these software are developed by the company, right? Flipkart developed all these software, shopping cart, prime customer, login access, everything. And in order the company is much big now, so the softwares are definitely going to be very complicated. So you need a number of people to do the coding and manage the software. So there has to be a lot of people who work on this coding, adding more features to the software and stuff. And then there would be different people who will do the QA, testing, verifications, and operations, the server management, cloud management, a lot of work that need to happen inside the company, right? So managing a software is complicated, right? I'm talking about there may be hundreds or thousands of machines over which your softwares are running. There may be 10 or 50 or 100 softwares that you have in your company. So all these things need to be maintained and managed, and it's not an easy job. The development need to happen, the coding, right, by the developer. Then the customer requirement need to be gathered. Let's see how customers are talking about our company, and what is the new feature that they might want. And then based on that, the developer has to work. They have to develop the features, and they have to specify what features should be developed, and they have to develop it. And then after the development is done, this need to be tested. Somebody has to test and make sure that everything is working fine. So a lot of QA process your software need to undergo to make sure that it has enough quality to go to the production. And in order to manage the production, you need some highly skilled teams, because I'm talking about hundreds or thousands of machines and dealing them, running software inside the machine, and whenever a new update come, installing these updates into the machine. So a lot of complicated stuff and a lot of data to be managed, right? Data about your customer, data about the product that you are selling, data about the previous order, and a lot of data that you want to maintain and manage, terabytes of data, right? I'm talking about. So it's not pretty easy and straightforward. So the software companies do a complicated job. Running and managing a software is not easy, not at all easy, right? It's probably the most complicated job to manage a software. A lot of people need to work together to deliver a meaningful outcome, right? Great. So I just want to give you an overview how complicated it is for the companies, and just want to give you a scenario why why browser want to speak to different services, and how these services want to talk to each other, how they want to transfer the data, and to run the services you need machines, right? So a lot of complexities, right? So what a DevOps engineer do, or DevOps or site reliability engineer, what do? They make sure that all these complexities are minimized, so that every team and every person working inside the company has a very easy approach to do their work and deliver their work quickly. I'm not talking about a single individual. I'm talking about every team working inside your company, whether it is the development team or the quality assurance team, the QA team, testing team, or it could be operation team, it could be your monitoring team, or it could be the team who is gathering the feedback from the customer. Whoever they are, the work are coordinated between every team, and the work are as it is being worked on, as soon as the work become ready, it can go to your customer immediately. And in order to do that, it's not very easy. As you might have seen, there are infrastructures that you need to manage, server, cloud, data centers, and a lot of networking stuffs and stuff like that. Then you have to manage your applications, then you want to develop the process, then you want to know whatever code that developer develop, it can consist of a lot of problem. It need to undergo a series of testing, verifications, and stuff like that. And in order to do such kind of verifications, you need a lot of scripts automation to be done, right? Some script that will test the function what developer did, then another script that would actually do some kind of user acceptability testing, and some browser based testing automatically without any humans. So a lot of test script needs to be there. And in order to run this test, first you want to run the software inside set of machines. You cannot directly run the software in production. You cannot give the software to your customer, they are not ready yet. First you should do some internal testing. For that you need a number of machine where you want to install the software and do the testing. And then this series need to happen repeatedly. Some report need to be generated, and some senior people or the decision maker want to see the report. Hey, how the QA is looking like, any all the problems are solved or any problems are still pending. Are we confident enough to take this software to the customer? So these decisions are made by the people, or sometimes it's made by the systems, which is actually good. But yeah, what I'm saying is a lot of complicated process, a changed code need to undergo. So a DevOps engineer makes sure that everyone work in a much smarter way, or I would also say every teams are able to do things themselves without going through much complexities of infrastructure. Developer should be able to make changes to the infrastructure. Without knowing anything about the service, a developer should be able to install things inside the service. Without knowing anything about the testing, whatever code change that developer did has to go through that testing. The QA engineer don't need to spend a single minute of their time developing, running the test. That need to happen automatically. So the idea here is that every team do their own job, and they are able to do it without any others help. So that is another primary responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. Build self-sufficient teams across your projects. And right, so these are some of the responsibilities, and it's not easy, right? Like I said, there are a lot of complexities of your project. A lot of team developer need to depend on the QA team to do the testing. Then they both need to depend on the operation team to create the service and create server to run the applications. So how these dependencies can be avoided? And right, if you want to build self-sufficient teams, you should avoid the dependencies, and it's complicated. And yeah, a DevOps engineer do a complicated job, and so it should be much simplified, right? Even though it is much complicated, you should do the best strategies and best practices and the best tools you should be using today if you want to solve these problems in the easiest way as possible. So that is what our course is all about. So first we start with Google Cloud, and AWS and Azure Cloud. So I'll tell you what is the kind of problem that we are trying to solve, and especially I'm going to talk about the Google Cloud. So most of the company want to make sure that developers are able to do things all by themselves, right? So whether it is changing the code they always do. But after changing the code need to undergo some series of testing, and then probably the code need to be converted into some executable form, right? Code is converted into a container. Your applications, whatever you are developing, should be ready to run inside a container, and in order to do that there are a series of processes that need to happen. First, whatever code that your developer develops, he develop it on his computer, and after that the code need to be compiled, code need to be built, code need to be tested, and a series of process need to happen, and then you want to build some container images and stuff. So finally your software become ready to run inside a container. Assume this is the shopping cart code on the developer laptop, and to make this code ready to run as a container there is a series of steps that need to happen. The steps might include these many steps. So compiling the code, whatever code that the developer develop, you want to compile them, you want to do some unit testing, right? Make sure that some number of tests are executed inside the code. Then after the test is completed, you want to do some building, you want to create some executable files such as jar files, based on the technology that you are using. You want to create some executable file, then you want to set up a runtime environment. Basically, in order to run Java application you need Java, in order to run a Python application you need Python. So you need to set up some environment settings first, and then you make it ready, make app ready to run, and maybe you want to run it once and make sure that everything is working, and then you have to finally create a container that would run your software applications. And this is what you want to do at the end, and this is not just the end, this is just the start, right? After a container is created, this container also need to run in various places. You want to run the containers in the cloud, you want to run the containers in premises, you want to run the containers in many other places. So Google Cloud, they are the ones who started developing Kubernetes. Kubernetes was their product, and later it was open sourced. So Google Cloud is perfect at it, whether you like Google or not. When it comes to the container management practices, Google is showing the way how the container has to be managed, how how the developer should be working, and how continuously a code can be built into container images and then run the application as containers. So in container space Google is doing a very good job, and they are actually showing us the path how you should be working with the cloud. So your developer should be developing the code, and you would be developing certain extra things inside the code, and then putting together you give the things to the Google Cloud. Google Cloud is now capable to run the applications without you worrying about the service. So there are serverless architecture. That means you can focus on writing necessary things in the code, and then Google Cloud understand the code, and then whatever is needed for your project they will do. You don't have to do anything. Machine creations, adding up more machine based on the traffic, deleting the machines when there is not traffic, right? Everything Google Cloud will do for you. So there are such kind of services available. Otherwise, they also have some Kubernetes services, managed Kubernetes services. Rather than you creating a Kubernetes cluster, you can ask Google Cloud to create a cluster for you. When I say ask, you can click some button or run a command to create a cluster in the Google Cloud, and you can start managing the cluster yourself. Either you want to manage it yourself or you want Google Cloud to manage it. You can go, there are other services available to do that. So Google Cloud is showing a proper path on how to work with the containers, how to build them, deploy them, run them in the Google Cloud. All these things can be done directly in the Google Cloud. Developer can focus on developer, and you as a DevOps engineer can focus on writing some code kind of things, and Google Cloud can do the rest. So we are going to talk about what are the best cloud practices that you need to follow when you are using containers, and that's what the main agenda of this training about the Google Cloud, and that we will That's one training. And the same process will repeat with the AWS cloud and Microsoft Azure also. We are going to learn in detail. After we completed the Google cloud, we will go to the AWS and Azure training. And so there are different right, every cloud provider has their own way of authentication, authorization, setting up the clusters, setting up the Kubernetes clusters, and managing the Kubernetes clusters, connecting, you directly managing it, or they are managing certain parts such as adding more CPU and memory, and how to do it in the serverless model, how to do it in a real machine model. Different strategies every cloud provider follow in order to build and manage container environment. So we will talk about how AWS and Azure also doing same strategies and stuff. And then next we will talk about our another course is GitOps. GitOps, it's not IAC, it's just GitOps. So when we talk about GitOps, so far all of us, if you are involved in a deployment process, you might already know, when you want to change your production infrastructure, either you have a CI/CD system that is doing it for you, or one of your engineers are clicking some command or clicking a button or running some command to release your product. When I say release your product, I'm talking about your developer code change. Your developer on his laptop, he made a lot of code change, and you finally identified that the code, everything is functioning, everything is working fine. It's time to run the latest software or the latest code into your customer environments, the production or the customer environments, and assume that is what you finally want to do. So in that case, there are a lot of things, right? I mean, when you run a software in production, most of the time when I say production, it is a Kubernetes cluster. But today let us not talk too much about what is Kubernetes. Our entire training is based on Kubernetes mostly. So we will talk about our idea is that the software we want to install on our customer environment, and it's a dangerous process, provided that there may be some issues that you did not detect, and that issues will go to your customer, and the customer would be obviously angry and frustrated, and you will be losing some business, right? You will be losing money also while that problem is going on in your customer environment. So generally the release process is a complicated process for most of the company. They build some automated system, or sometimes engineer from their laptop execute a command to do the release, or they click a button to do the release, and then it happens. So instead of doing that, you can actually write code, right? I mean, assume you have a shopping cart application. Then you want to write certain things. When I want to run the shopping cart application, I want to run shopping cart application on some 10 machines, because I'm getting high load. Shopping cart will run on 10 times on different machines in my infrastructure, right? So I might need some 10 machines to run the shopping cart. And if any machines goes down, or a shopping cart application goes down, it should be restarted automatically. Or just in case, if there's a failure, it should be recreated automatically. Any machine got failed, so there should be always 10 instances of shopping cart that should be running. If it become 9, create a new one automatically. So there are certain things that you specify, and what is the version of the application that you want to run. A number of things that you can specify when you do it during the release. So, and then with that settings, you will run a command or click a button to install the software in all these machines. That's what you generally do. So instead of doing that, a new culture, a new way of working for a DevOps engineer is that all these things he will write in a file. He will write the code. He will write everything in code, and that code he will put somewhere. he will put that inside a source code repository, GitHub, or some repository, and some machines that you have set up will read the status and install the machines, install your environments. So you don't directly work on your surveys, or your CI/CD system will not directly connect to the surveys directly. Instead, you will work on Git. You will work on a code repository, basically a place where you want to store all these settings that whatever you are mentioning. The DevOps engineer or SREs, they will write all these settings and store in one place, and as soon as you store these things in some place, then it will take that and it will install them, it will apply those settings into various machines. So this source code repository, this is a, let's call it a repository. This repository would become one single source of truth, right? That consists of all the settings that you want to change, and the same settings would be applied to all the environment. Please don't get confused if you don't know any of these tools. It's not important. The important thing is that from today, people will be working in this manner. Whether you are a DevOps engineer or SRE or any team you belong to, you write things on your laptop. What settings that you want for your production environment, what are the different settings you want, you write it on your laptop and store that. Whatever you have written, you store in one common place, and there your job ends. Rest of the things are up to different machines, not you, not humans. Humans write the code. Human writes what you want in the decide state. What you want, you write it and you store it someplace, and some tools will take that code and understand what needs to be done, and it will do what is necessary. And this is how you should be working. I mean, in 2022, for sure, this is the way how the company should be working, GitOps way. Right, and there are different tools and technologies available. We will be learning them, and again, this is a Kubernetes based training. We are not directly dealing with the machines, but Kubernetes. It's a Kubernetes based training. And again, please don't worry if you don't understand any technical words what I am using. It's not critical. And then we learn about Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is we learn it from the CI/CD perspective and end-to-end project management using Azure DevOps. So when I say software lifecycle has a very big length, right? It's a lengthy process. I already mentioned this few times today itself, right? First, the developer do the coding on their laptop, right? It all start from the developer. No, it's not start from the developer. It start from your business analyst team or the QA engineers who will come up with some requirement. Hey, this problem need to be solved. I need to integrate the GPay payment into the website. Flipkart should start supporting GPay. Or there's a problem, there's a login issue that need to be solved. So a number of change requests would keep coming into the developers, and developer work on them. So based on the customer feedback, based on some issues that you have in your system, a lot of change requests would keep coming in, and then your developer would start working on them. They will take the change request and they will start working on those change requests. And what they do the coding, right? They do the coding, and after they finish the coding, then the code what they change need to undergo a series of complicated process, right? You need to do some unit testing, you need to compile the code, you need to build the code, you need to create the executable file, try to execute them in a traditional environment, and make sure that all the environments are set up, and then again you put all these things together inside a container, try to run the container, make sure that everything is working fine, and once the container become ready, take a backup of the container and store it someplace, and the same file is used by different people to create containers in many places, in developer laptop, in QA engineer laptop, in CI/CD systems, and a lot of places. So the point what I'm trying to make here is that a changed code need to undergo a series of highly complicated process. and all this process can be automated, and that is the best part. If you did well, if you understand what are the problem your project is going through, you can implement a proper CI/CD solution, so that every time developer make a code change, the code will automatically go through a series of steps, and the code get verified, validated, and the process will repeat again and again. And by the time the code go to production, go to your customer, you have a very good confidence. Like, you have a 95, you can never achieve 100% confidence, but you have a 95% confidence that this code is going to work for the customer. Even though code modification is a complicated process, your automated systems will give you this confidence, that because the automated system covered most important testing that needs to be done on the coding before the code is taken to production. So the steps might involve creating the infrastructure in the cloud, creating machines in the cloud, running software into those machines, right? I mean, a lot of complication may need to be there during this process, but whatever that complications are, if it is automated, then that would increase your confidence a lot, and that would speed up the process very much. As soon as the developer made the code change, within 1 hour or 2 hour, you got the 95% confidence that this code can go to production, right? Generally the companies do that every 2 months, every 3 months, right? It's a slow process, but now you can improve that to a very good extent with a proper automated systems that you have. So there are different solutions available for CI/CD. There is Jenkins, Azure DevOps, and many solutions are available. We are going to learn Azure DevOps in detail, because that is one key areas that is gaining lot of attention nowadays, and it's a great service when it comes to the CI/CD. Maybe one of the best solution that is available as a service is Azure DevOps. So and that's why we are going to learn that. And there are other CI/CD solutions also available, such as Jenkins or some container native solutions. We have few courses on the website. If any of you want to take that, you can take them. That's an option. So that's the list of courses that we cover, and just want to give you an overview. And again, whatever I discussed, you take it on a very high level manner. Do not get into too much complicated topics. We have a prerequisite training starting from tomorrow. We are going to set up a lab environment. First thing what we do tomorrow, everyone will set up their lab environment. Initially what you need is a Linux machine, so we will create an AWS account for everyone tomorrow, create a Linux machine, and on that machine we have to do some Linux practice. I understand that many of you are not very much good at Linux, some of you are, but most of you are not very familiar with Linux, so you have to get used to the Linux command line. So tomorrow, the whole day, we will be learning some Linux basics, and the whole week, this week, you have to improve. You don't have to learn Linux, but you have to learn Linux commands and make sure that you are comfortable working on the command line, because most of the time we are working on command lines, right? So make sure that you are comfortable with the command line, and you are able to, even if you don't know something, you are able to search in Google and be able to do it within few minutes or within few seconds. So you should be comfortable with the Linux command line. We will start with some basic commands tomorrow. Then we will talk about we will demonstrate some software, a front-end software written in React, a backend software that is written in Java, another backend software that is written in Python. I will demonstrate the project to you. Then I will show you how you can take this project, build this project, how we can create the containers, Docker containers of this project, and then what is Kubernetes, and how you can develop all your applications into container images, and later how you can run them in Kubernetes. So we will show a detailed demo in the first 1.5 weeks. So that is when you will learn most of the important things about Kubernetes, about a lot of things. So after that only we will get into any of our advanced training. So don't worry about your tech. You need some experience, not because you don't need any coding experience, you don't need any Linux expertise also. I don't expect that from you. what you need is that you should have some experience in IT. The reason, technically, whatever challenging thing is, we are covering that. It's a detailed technical session what we are going through for the next 13 weeks. So I don't think any technical challenge is going to stop you, but you should have some experience in any IT domain. It could be application support, monitoring, development, Linux, or anything, QA, whatever it is, it's not important. You should have some IT experience. Then only you will understand how teams are working, what are the people's roles and responsibilities, and how the projects are moving, right? Even though it is not moving in the right way, maybe not, maybe it's you are following all the best practices, maybe things are not going in the smooth way. Whether it is bad or good, you need to know what it is, right? So that is why there should be some experience. It can be in any IT domain, any IT job, monitoring or whatever. It's not important. What is important is that you have at least 2 to 3 year experience is much recommended, so that you will get into a matured level of understanding how different people work, what are the different teams, what are each team's roles and responsibilities. That knowledge is what I was talking about. Technically, I mean, nothing is challenging. You don't even need to know coding. Whatever code that we write, it would be in terms of YAML files, which does not need any kind of coding skills. You will be writing, there's a syntax that you need to follow. Otherwise, it's not programming that you write. Even though when I say code, I don't mean any programs, right? So nowadays code has a different meaning than what it had 5 years before. Machines has a different meaning, right? So when I say code today, it does not necessarily mean a program. Okay, and that's the idea. And all right, so I'll take your questions. What is Docker? Question from Vinay. What is Docker? Yeah, Docker is, so I have been using the word container a lot, right? I have been using the word container. You should be using container, you should be running containers, containers. So that's what most of the people want today. They want to run the applications as containers. And Docker is the first company who came up with some super softwares that made container management very easy. So I don't know if did I say Docker? Docker, I might have used the word. So Docker we are going to learn also in the first week. So Docker container are awesome, but people didn't know that until Docker showed us the path, right? Docker is the first company who developed a lot of software and then showed us the path, how to develop containers, how to run containers, how to manage containers, how to a lot of things they showed. They made the container management easier, and actually it is because of Docker people started using containers. It does not necessarily mean that Docker is one perfect option to run containers today. Things has changed a lot, but Docker is a set of software. Docker is a company who brought a set of software which made the container management much easier, and they are the first ones who showed us the path. What tools we are going to use for monitoring? For monitoring, currently monitoring is not a part of our slide. So when we learn the cloud providers, we would be using the native tools supported by the respective cloud provider, and internally the tools are Prometheus, Prometheus, and for log aggregation it would be EFK. And those tools, we won't be directly managing it. We would be using the inbuilt solutions by the cloud providers. But if you want to learn monitoring yourself, if you are not using cloud and you want to build a logging strategy for yourself, some monitoring topics are going to be built on the Coit website, which would be available at $3.99 to you. That would help you build monitoring from the scratch, right? right, Akash? And then I have a Windows laptop. Can we set up lab in that? So it's not important what kind of laptop that you use. It could be a Windows PC, it could be MacBook, it could be Linux. Not important. All the tools whatever we are going to learn, they install on all operating systems. So it is not important. And you need a command line, whether you use Windows or not, Windows or Linux. You need a command line software in your laptop. And Windows 11 has Linux. I hope you know that. If you are using Windows 11, just enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. That's a good idea. Then you would get a great command line. Otherwise, you have to install some third-party command line. There should be a command line software. That's only requirement that we will talk about tomorrow. Otherwise, it's not important what operating system you use in your laptop. Are we covering Ansible and Nagios? No. All the tools would be container native tools that we will be covering. But for Ansible, we have a course at Coit. Nagios we are not covering. Nagios is old. Still good. I mean, if you are not using containers and if you are using traditional setup, Nagios is still good. But I don't think you don't need to learn Nagios at this stage based on. So you have a career goal, right? You are here because you want to learn the latest technology, and you make sure that you don't learn something and something, right? If you learn one thing and Nagios does not work properly with any of the tools what you are learning in this course. So make sure that whatever third-party tools, if you want to learn, first you ask me. Better you ask me. I can give you the suggestion whether you should learn it or not. But yeah, Ansible and Nagios, you don't really need to take them both, unless it's, I mean, if it is from a job perspective also, you don't have to take Ansible and Nagios. I don't think it does not sync with your existing learning, right? And will you be guiding how we can shift careers to DevOps from our existing domains? Yeah. So what we do is, Venkat, can you mute some noise? So will I guide for your career change process? I mean, if you want to change your career, what help do I provide? So first of all, yeah, whatever you need, you can reach to me and I can give you suggestions. But most importantly, what you should be focusing, that's what I will tell you, what you should be focusing. The way how we are building the courses, we are doing the project, we are giving high preference to the projects. And these projects are actually, a world-class project. You would be working with some agile practices coordinated by a project manager. Every team will have a team lead, and you would be finishing the project. Whether you complete it 100% or not, you should complete your contribution, and you should have an understanding about everyone's contribution, what they did, and do it in a collaborative way. And many people complete the project all by themselves. And for that you need some extra time and patience, of course, because they are big project. If you do the project in a company, it will take some 3-4 months to complete, right? But in our case, we already learned the tools first before doing the project, and also we have some 25-30 people, but that won't be the case in company. So these are very advanced project if you do it yourself in the company. So same project, you make sure that you get all the knowledge that you need. You collaborate, you contribute to the project, and you add this project to your resume. That's what people do, right? Explain this to one interviewer and check how his feedback is. It will be great. I mean, if you tell them that this is what you are doing, it's going to be very impressive. And because most of the people are not doing it out there in the market. So, and this is awesome. This is what people want to do. So yeah, so whatever your career is, you just since we are learning everything from scratch and we are doing the project, so you make sure that you finish the project well, and you look for a job change from the project perspective rather than, of course, when they ask you, you can always say that you have experience, right? I mean, you have experience, and whatever experience that you have is relevant as well, right? DevOps consider every experience as a relevant experience. And the most important part is your knowledge, and you will acquire that a lot during our project sessions and training. And any resume interview guidance, yeah, after the everyday project we will be talking about the interview guidance. At the end of every project, we will have a 30-minute session on how the interview is to be handled, and how you should be talking in the interview, and what your resume should look like. We will have a 30 minute talk after every project. So we have 4 projects, so after every project we have a detailed discussion on career guidance, interview preparations, and what interviewer actually expect, right? I mean, most of the people think that the interviewer expect a lot of technical tools knowledge, and so interviewer not going to ask you a lot about the tools. They are going to ask you about the problems that you solved, and how you solved it, right? So we'll have a discussion after every project how to talk to the interviewer. Do we work on setting up a complete infrastructure that is required for the project? Yeah, one Satvik question is, do we also set up the infrastructure? I hope Satvik is talking about the computing infrastructure in the cloud. So we are using cloud and Kubernetes mostly. So yes, we will be building the computing infrastructure all by ourselves. And the good part is that Kubernetes solve infrastructure complexities to very much minimum. I mean, with Kubernetes, the infrastructure complexities are very very less, and we are going to follow the best practices to manage the infrastructure, and we will be building them from the scratch. Yes. Question from Vinay: will you be teaching basics of Python? No, we are not going to learn Python. I didn't say Python in the topic list, but there is a Python course that I would share with you. Those who want to learn Python, you can take. It's not mandatory, but it's recommended. So anybody want to learn Python, I have a course that is from the DevOps angle. How much part of Python do you need to cover? It's a 6 hours course. 6 hours, that's it, right? And do you need to know basics of traditional DevOps methods? No, you don't need to have any background into DevOps. You should have some experience in any IT domain. That's the only requirement. My AWS got deactivated. Can I create one more account? Yes, Vinay, you can do that. Will you cover Jenkins and Ansible in this course? Reno, no, but we have self-paced courses for $3.99 at Coit website. Both for Jenkins course will be available from next week. Ansible is already there, so if you want, you can take. And Ansible, you don't really have to take. If you don't, whatever course that you take, you can always ask me for my advice. What tools is recommended? I mean, because I don't know. I mean, I don't even know why you want to learn Ansible or Jenkins. So if you give me a reason, I can guide you which course to take. Maybe it's a good idea to take my opinion before choosing the course, because whatever you took, it should align with your thing. Perfect. And then what else? Can we add this project to the resumes? Yes, why not? They are, you should be also proud to do that, because they are very good projects. You can feel free to add them to your resume. Why not? We'll be learning shell scripting and Python. I would be sharing shell scripting and Python video courses for you. That will be free and it's optional. Shell scripting is recommended. Python is also recommended. Shell scripting, you take it. It's much recommended. But we won't be using both of these. We won't be using any scripting during our course, because the cloud native container tools don't need you to do so much scripting, except writing YAML files and JSONs. So that's why we are not giving too much focus on coding. You should not be doing DevOps with coding, right? You should not be doing that. Today, you should not be doing coding to implement DevOps practices. That's a bad idea actually, because there are better ways to do that today. And a question from Ashok: are other courses which you said will be available at $3.99 approximately? It will be $3.99 for sure. It's not approximate. It's all the courses. My plan is to keep it a low price, so that you have the flexibility to try any course you want at a price of a coffee, right? That's not a coffee for sure, but a beer. And yeah, then Satvik, could you please give me a pitch about your experience on DevOps? Yeah, I'll talk about it. Uh, I'll talk about after finishing all the other questions, Satvik. Kandu, I have a question. I am preparing for Azure DevOps. How other technologies like containers and AKS and Jenkins, etc., will help me to get a job, as this may not work with Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is not some tool that make you stick with Azure. No, Azure DevOps has a wider angle. It's not just it is not Microsoft attempt to make you stick to Azure. Rather, it is flexible. It can be used for working with Kubernetes, working with AKS, working with whatever other tools and technology that you use. So I think that answers the question. Satvik, do we work on setting up a complete infrastructure that is required for a project? Okay, I think I already answered that. Could you please give me a pitch about... Okay, sorry, I think I'm just... Satvik, I think you are pasting your questions again and again. Okay. Yeah, first of all, there is no traditional DevOps and there is no AWS DevOps, and there is no DevOps does not have a lot of meanings. The DevOps has only one meaning. It's all about helping a developer do the job all by themselves. That's one thing. And then make sure that a smooth work culture is followed inside across all the teams that you have in your company, and do as much as the things using the machines than humans. So these are some responsibilities of DevOps, and different implementations are there, right? It all depends on the technology that the company use. People are using AWS, people are using Azure, Google Cloud, people are using different tools to do the building and to do the development. Developers are using different IDEs, and there are so many technologies available today. So DevOps is all about taking a problem and solving the problem, or bring in the right tools and technologies to solve the problem. And that is why we are not going to talk too much about a tool and learn that tool end to end, because if you do that, you will lose the vision of DevOps. The main problem what I have seen with the learners is that they lose the vision when they first they start learning the tools, right? And most of the time the tools solve more than one problem. There are tools that solve only one problem. If you learn such tools, it's good, but that is not the case most of the time. Most of the tools learn various problems. So what you need is a clear vision. That is the most important part. What you are going to work on, and what is the problem that you are trying to solve, and how this tool will help you solve that problem, and what are the other tools that you need to combine more than one tool together to solve the same problem. So this is how your mindset should be. So learning a lot of technologies might not be too much helpful if you don't have that vision, right? So that's why so we will be sticking to our same topic list, a problem versus solutions, whatever. So many companies and when you start working, maybe you got an interview and you told them that you are using Argo CD instead of Flex, or you are using Azure DevOps instead of Jenkins. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I don't think nobody cares. Nobody in the world expects you to use the same technology what they are using. But what you should have is a vision about what you are solving, how you are solving, and you are following the right practices. So and generally it's not very important what you learn, and we always make sure that we learn the best tools in the course, right? Otherwise, don't go with the market, don't go with the articles, or don't go with the news and publicity that can they are good articles, but probably we are not matured enough to understand what they are trying to communicate, right? If you search in Google, you will get most popular 15 tools, right? These are the kind of search results that Google gives you. It's not Google's fault, because that's what Google do. The problem is that these things tend to mislead people. That's what I have seen in most of my training career. So yeah, so just what you need, most important part is the vision about the problem and the solution, right? And yeah, it's 13 weeks. 13 weeks. It's 13 weeks. Our course curriculum is built on based on the fact that it is intended. First of all, it's intended for the most people here today are actually people who try to change their career. So even the audience is the curriculum was prepared in that sense only. Make sure that people learn it by practice, and also do a project all by themselves, get a clear clarity on how to talk to interviewer and stuff. So I don't have a direct answer to any question. If somebody asks me, is this enough to get a job, I cannot give a 0 or 1 answer to that. But the people who did the project right now, I will tell you what is the problem that I am facing. I'm working with other companies who want to hire people from my students, because people now knows me very well, and even I used to refer people, the best students, to them. So now the main problem is that I don't have people to refer, and most people I refer, they already have got job, and for the last 4 months I did not hire a single person to my companies, not because they are eligible, because they got other better offers. So that's the kind of problem that I am facing. So finding a job is generally not difficult once you did the course well, and once you did the project well. Getting a job is not difficult. That's what I have seen. I am from Azure, and I'm a 365 background with 10 years of experience. It's better, you would be making that call after you completed the course. So generally the people who is completely from, who have no background into any the people who are from last time, right? One person from the monitoring side, he was the one leading the projects. For 2 projects he led the project, and the projects went very smooth. So, and if you have a lot of experience, better, you just learn it and you make that decision yourself, how much experience you can put. And generally it all depends on you make the individual decision. Generally 1 to 2 year experience is also enough, because whatever experience is relevant to DevOps, right? When I am hiring somebody, I won't expect them to have 10 years of DevOps experience, right? I want them to have experience, and also some experience into DevOps, right? And then I interview them, I test their knowledge, how they are doing, what problem they solved on DevOps, and what is their mentality, and are they working with me, right? Will it align with my team requirement? Most importantly, the mindset is what I mostly focus on when I take an interview of a DevOps engineer. So in that sense, your knowledge is most important. It's not the number. That number is just 10 years is always good. If you have experience of 10 years, that's perfect. But how much into DevOps, you don't have to explain that to him. Most of the time you don't have to, and that is not a important question also. Fanny, I see AWS has more market share compared to Azure, Google. Do we need to take separate course on AWS services? No. I don't recommend that you taking a separate AWS. Even though I have a course at Coit.io, after completing this live training, I don't recommend you to take a complete AWS training. That is not important today. You don't need that. It's not important. And will you cover Jenkins and Ansible in this course? No, but they are there at Coit website. I think I already covered that question. Will you cover? Yeah. Why CI/CD implementation using Azure? Why not Jenkins? Nothing. Azure DevOps has a good popularity, and also when it comes to the job market, there are very less number of people who know Azure DevOps. So I thought, even I am also getting a lot of requirement, and people are, even the companies are asking. So I thought, let's cover Azure DevOps. And Jenkins, anyway, I already have a self-paced course. So I thought, you will learn Azure DevOps, and if you want to learn Jenkins, why don't you take the course? So that way you can learn two things if you want. If you learn one, you can always learn other. That's not a big deal. If you learn CI/CD using any one tool, learning other tools is pretty easy and straightforward. That's the kind of thing. Funny. And yeah, so you can go ahead and take a look at the website. Yes, Kanto. Go ahead. Right. Yeah, I got your question. So there are different positions available. So people take this course mostly because they like to make a complete switch to DevOps, right? So there are two options available. One is that you want to enhance your current skills, because everyone need to learn DevOps to adapt to the best work. Whether if you are a developer, you should have some clusters that you run inside your laptop. You should have some single node cluster running in your laptop. That is where you should do your development. And if you are a QA engineer, you should also have similar, whatever QA case that you develop, some machine should be running them rather than you running it directly. So every team has a DevOps requirement, and many companies prefer, when they hire the individuals for different teams, they hire the people who has the knowledge on the DevOps also for that team perspective. So that is one area you can explore. Then other area, or the best area, what I would recommend is that every company nowadays has a DevOps SRE team, and that is a key team who will ensure the best DevOps practices that you need to follow in your company. So they are a very much technical team. They do a lot of things, especially if it is a startup or if it is a autonomous team. In such case, you learn a lot, right? That is probably your first job should be that, is what I would recommend. Work on a small team, autonomous team. It could be big company. I mean, even Netflix and Amazon, big companies are doing it. They are creating autonomous team which are like less than 10 people in strength and building solutions. So, and even the big companies are doing that, starting to switch to microservices and building autonomous teams. So such teams are has a DevOps role that will make sure that the end-to-end project things, CI/CD is covered, developer environments are covered, right? In monitoring, installations, or everything would include in that. So that's a good team you should explore, DevOps or SRE. Even our course curriculum is more aligned to that, to look for a job openings in DevOps and SRE. SRE means Site Reliability Engineer. Is this current course enough to switch? Kandu, did I answer your question? Is this current course enough to switch system? I think I already answered. Ram, I hope it's clear. I already answered. Yeah, Reno, I already answered. Pavan, don't have IT experience. Would you suggest me to continue this? Yeah, if you don't have any IT experience, I really don't know if this course will be perfect for you. Technically, it's a good course for you. Even without any IT experience, you will learn a lot. Technical strength, you will get a lot. But there are certain things. The problem is that technically you will be able to manage. Okay, whatever I do, you should also be able to do at your side. So without experience, there are certain things that you might not understand when I talk about the team. I mean, it would sound like on a high level you will understand, but a lot of picturization or visualizations would be missing from your part. So that is the challenge. If you don't have any IT experience, it is that challenge will be always there. But if you decided to switch to IT, this is a good course, right? If you made your decision and you can spend a lot of time to do the practice and everything, then this is a good course. This course would help you start it, but no, you cannot expect that this course would make you an expert and you can look for a 3-year, 4-year experience job. That is not going to happen. So yeah, Pawan, I hope I answered your question. Will you cover? Yeah. Yes, yes, and yeah, whatever tools that we are covering are, and again, I mean, switching your job completely depends on the problem that you are solving, actually. So in that sense, yes, this is the perfect course. But again, I mean, it's not the. I mean, most of the job opening they mention the tool in the job description, right? This tool you should have knowledge. So then you notice that you found that somebody is asking about OpenShift, but you know Kubernetes, or somebody is asking about Flux, but you know Argo CD. Somebody is asking for Jenkins, but you know Azure DevOps. You can still apply to that job. You can explain the interviewer; he will understand. Right? So that perspective, it's not important. And once you got an interview, what matters is the problems and solutions that you did, and yeah. So yes, this is enough. So and if the question is, do you need to learn anything else? No, don't learn anything else. Whatever I follow in the class, take my guidelines and follow that. And if needed, if you have a requirement to learn something, you just check with me. I can suggest you something. So if you don't know what to learn, don't learn anything. Just follow this. Make sure that do some enhancement, maybe right on the existing learning. You do some enhancement whenever you get a chance. You don't have to learn anything else. Okay, it's not needed. Yeah, yes. Will you cover AWS fundamentals? Not much. We create machines. We do some lab in the AWS. We create Kubernetes cluster in AWS. I don't know what do you mean by fundamentals, but from the container perspective, we are covering AWS a lot. But you don't need to have a lot of fundamentals to understand our container practices, because AWS container services are different, other services are different. So container services does not depend too much on fundamentals. Of course, you should know what's a machine, what's AWS, how to create those things. We will be discussing how to create machines. Very basic fundamentals we will be covering before we get into any advanced AWS topic. That is for sure. And I'm from non-IT background. Should I go? Yeah, Raj. So this course is actually for the people who is already in the IT background. But technically, it's not a challenge. I think I already answered that question to Pavan. I don't know whether you heard me. If you are switching from non-IT to IT, maybe this is not the perfect course for you, because this course expects some not any technical experience, but some experience that you gathered about your company, about your team, what you do, what others do, what are the team's responsibility, how you work together. So certain things you should have an idea. Otherwise, technically it's not a challenge. You can learn the technical aspect of it. So you make the decision if this is the best course for you or not. If you made a decision that you want to switch to IT, this is a good course, because you will get a lot of technical knowledge from this course. But whether to switch or not, or which field you want to switch to in IT, that you can make a decision. This course is actually built for experienced people who have 2 to 3 year experience in any IT domain. Any IT domain experience is fine, but non-IT can be bit confusing once we started. Maybe you can attend few classes and you can decide for yourself. And will you cover Terraform? Terraform, I have a detailed course on Coit, which will be released next week, but we are not covering Terraform. It's not independent of AWS, Azure or Google. The Terraform work with them. It's not independent tool. Yes, they are. Terraform is a free software, open source software. Terraform is used for automating infrastructure management in the cloud, in AWS, Azure, Google, or whatever cloud provider that you use. Are you going to start containers from tomorrow? We are going to start prerequisites tomorrow. First 1.5 weeks will be prerequisites training, Linux, softwares, microservices, containers. Then after that Kubernetes. 1.5 weeks will be only the prerequisites. So after that only we start with the GCP course. Yes, GCP course we start from after we completed the prerequisites. First course will be Google Cloud course, GCP course, and that would be based on containers, right? It's not a complete GCP course. Great. No, you are right. You are 100% right. Go ahead. Yes, many companies, most companies, in fact, they use Terraform, and you also have the flexibility to learn Terraform in a course that is self-paced. I'm not adding that into our live topic list because it can become too much complicated. Like I said, you don't really have to learn. Terraform is much recommended. Even Jenkins also I actually recommend, but Terraform is much recommended to be taken, and that course will be available next week on the website. It's good that you asked this question. Terraform is a good tool, and especially if you are using MultiCloud, I strongly suggest that. Rewatch the video once again. Maybe you can ask the video. I already mentioned why we are not learning them. Probably you might miss that point. So we will be focusing the container technologies. There will be always confusions because understood your question. Okay. Understood your question. So our intention would be when you work inside a company, right? Okay, and one more thing I want to tell all of you, please get your admission confirmed, because today it was a bit crowded. So everyone, please, please talk to your contact person and make sure that your seat is confirmed. 20 is the limit, right? I have some other people also joining us from next day. So 20 would be the limit. Whoever attended this demo, 20 is the limit. And yeah, Venkat, so the thing is that, Ansible, I won't, I said I won't recommend Ansible, right? So the reason why I said I won't recommend Ansible is that we are learning cloud native technologies, container based cloud native technologies. And I believe that Ansible don't have so much role to manage the configuration in a container native world, because there are better tools available, right, when it comes to the config management, and managing the configurations are done in much better way when you are using Kubernetes and other cloud native tools. So that is why I said, I'm not recommending Ansible, because that is much different than what we are currently learning. But when it comes to Terraform, it is recommended, because you have to manage, but it is not as much as recommended as the traditional DevOps tools, because when you are using Kubernetes, a lot of cloud operation Kubernetes manage itself. It does not need Terraform helps to manage a lot of infrastructure parts, such as networks, then networks, subnets, then communication, then a lot of other things Kubernetes already manage. The volume data management, cloud volumes, disks, a lot other things. Even the machine management, scaling the machines, scaling down the machines, all these things Kubernetes takes care. Like 75% Kubernetes takes care. For rest 25% you might need Terraform. So when it comes to container, the new work culture is much different. It's much different than how it used to be. So that is why we always select the tools in much a smarter way. We stick to what is the best, and we try to cover less important ones as a self-paced course. That's our main agenda. So that's why the curriculum looks like this, even if it confuses you. So anyone else, any questions? Hi Ashok.